You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 22nd meeting of the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Managers. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Cheers. Yeah.
We're going to start. Okay, welcome to the October 22nd, 2024 Board of Managers meeting for the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mike Sykes,
Present.
Adam Konechny,
Here.
Martha King, here. Diane Gonzalez, present. Stacy Benning,
Here.
Bryn Myers, Pat Harris,
Present.
Becky Green. I'm just gonna grab Becky's folder and I'll give it back to her if she gets here in a moment. But we do have a quorum to continue business.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments at this time as we open our meeting? Moving forward, we'll look at the September 2024 minutes and entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mike Sykes and a second by Stacy Benning to approve the September 2024 minutes. Any other discussion, questions, comments? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I want to start out this meeting by just saying how pleased I am at the enthusiasm and the participation in our board retreat that we held. I want to thank staff for doing such an outstanding job of pulling it together. And I think everything ran smoothly. I think we accomplished everything that we set out to do. And today, later in the meeting, we're going to do a presentation with Planning Next, and then we'll approve the document that they have submitted. This document, I just want to make sure everyone understands it's a work in progress. So it's not like it's done deal. As those committees are getting together and discussing the various different pillars and the strategies associated with those pillars, new things may form, and we'll be looking at it at each opportunity to continue to enhance our
I mean, it's not your intention just to put it on the shelf?
shelf. No, this baby will not be going on a shelf.
I hear you.
There's too much exciting things in there, great things for the community, so no, it won't be going on the shelf. It'll definitely be put into action. Jack is not one to let her sit, so I'm confident in staff moving us forward and calling out to board members and community to be involved in the next steps that we are going to partake in. So if you get a phone call, don't hesitate, just say yes and then dive in. The other thing is we occasionally we have an opportunity to do some things with our finances as far as structuring and moving monies around. So occasionally we have to have a finance committee that we have to put together, and I have put together a finance committee to do that at this point. We have a budget coming up, and I'd like them to be involved in that. So we want Becky Greenlaw, who is our treasurer, Mike Sykes, and then Adam Konechny. They will be our finance committee to assist with our budgeting process for this year. Just a quick update also on our Fairgrounds Management and Events Corporation, FMEC. We're going to be, we're continuing to have our comprehensive planning meetings and sessions to look at the fairground and kind of design a facility that will attract nationally and also internationally opportunities for events and groups to come and use that facility. It's a wonderful asset. We've put a lot of money into the infrastructure, and it's just right there now for actually moving forward and having some major events. the initial concept here was to have that facility become self-sufficient in its revenues, so it supports itself, and we do not have to use tax dollars for that facility. Now, it's owned by the county, but that doesn't mean that we have to continue to pour tax dollars into that facility, because it can generate its own operations. Do I want to let you do this? Mike?
If anybody gets a chance, drive through the new show arena is just beautiful.
Yes.
They did a great job on that, and it's a beautiful looking building, and I think they're in the process of designing the inside, how they want to configure it inside, but it is really going to be a nice place.
Yeah, so I think the original intent is we're slowly getting there, but we are getting there. And I think when it is finally in place and we can attract those large events, we're mainly looking at off-season, because the summer months are filled. We're mainly looking at off-season to bring in some activity. So we're a year-round community. That's one of the things that came out of our strategic planning session too, was to do something in that way. So just a quick update on that. And with that, we'll move right into our treasurer's report.
In place of Becky this morning, we do have the full report as prepared by our accountants. Our claims for September of 2024, accounts payable, the total is $81,157.38. Payroll for the period of September is $42,592.84. And that comes to a grand total of payables of $123,750.22. I will be passing the reconciliation, bank reconciliation around, as well as the regular form to please attest to the accuracy and approval of the above claims. And then, of course, your statement of financial position. And one more. So sorry. Profit and loss comparison. So, we offer.
Is that everything now?
That's it.
All right. Okay, we would at this time ask for a motion to approve the financial or the treasurer's report as presented.
Motion to approve.
Martha.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Martha and Martha King, and a second by Diane Gonzalez to approve the treasurer's report as presented. Any questions, comments? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, Jack, that brings us to you.
Oh, great, good. Pretty exciting meeting on the agenda today, both this month and next month. As you all know, we're going to get a chance to move forward a couple documents today that are probably two of the biggest items that you'll get a chance to vote on during the course of the year. One being the new offshore contract, and then, of course, the planning process that we've been going through since May, actually. And I just want to start out by saying, Pat, leading us through this planning process has been outstanding. I can't tell you how many industry folks and folks from the outside that have watched this process have complimented the board, and mostly you, for pushing this through, and it's much appreciated. It really is. And I just wanted to say that. So we do have a couple guests that are zooming in to speak to. Sarah's going to be speaking under old business under the planning document. And then we've got a couple of our new partners with RWO that are I'll introduce under new business when it comes up. So I'm going to move through some of the normal reports a little quicker than usual, just so our friends don't have to wait too long before we get to their items. But there's a couple things I want to touch on. You all got a copy of the Great Lakes Grand Prix 24 Surtex study. If you didn't, one's coming to you right now. Okay, and please take that back with you for your edification. But I'm going to touch on a couple high points that I think are really important, that just really proud of with this race, last year's race, of course. So the 2023 economic impact study was 19.1 million. The 24 race brought in 23.6 million to our economy. That's a $4 million increase, and that's a huge deal. And I mean, really is. Think about that much money for that, for a race of only 3 or 4 days. We stretched it into 3 or 4. Yeah, bringing in that much money, it's a big deal. It's important. Was that us?
No, that's
Well, we're
on
good.
Zoom.
Yeah, the Zoom. So, another important takeaway that you might want to look at as you go through there is that event last year put 1.2 billion in revenue in our local government. Okay, think about that. There's $1.2 million to come back and support police, fire, and everything else we do right into our local government. That's a big deal. I know there was discussion about the amount of money that gets spent in supporting these type of things, but this kind of income in return more than offsets any local dollars that are spent in overtime or anything like that. $5.3 million in wages to LaPorte County workers. 5.3. That ranges from everybody that's selling something at a convenience store to checking somebody in at a hotel or working one of our servers in one of our restaurants and all the above. That's a big deal. A couple statistics in here too that I think you'll find really interesting on last year's race. And this is going to help us tremendously as we dig into how we're going to market this year's race and how we're going to allocate dollars into some research. And where I'm going with that is 46% of our visitors for the state currently are overnight visitors. Okay, so flip that around for a second. That means 54% of them are not overnight visitors. So what's our goal right there? Is to get those folks to stay overnight. That's what the whole thing's about, right? It's heads and beds, getting them to come in and stay overnight. So we've got a huge group of folks that we can reach out there that are already coming to the race, and now our goal is to get them to come and stay longer and stay overnight. And we're going to talk about that. Chelsea's got a presentation I'm going to show during the race contract, the discussion about how we're going to extend race week the whole week and try to do just that, reach that 54% that are not staying overnight. And the second part of this is 20% of our visitors are attending for the first time. So again, you flip that around. That means there's a whole lot of folks out there that we have the opportunity to go after now, because only 20% for the first time, that leaves a whole bunch out there on the other side of that. So how do we affect that? And again, we're going to be talking about that and expanding our marketing, expanding our research to bring them in. So those are interesting numbers. I just wanted to.
I think that's great that we look to the visitors that are already coming to enhance their experience.
Exactly.
And that would be a wonderful thing to do.
So yeah, we're excited about the opportunity to use that, build that into this year's race. Mike?
Jack, any chance of, or any plans to have a press conference or a press release on this summary of the boat race?
Yes, that's a great point. We've been holding off, Mike, because the reason we needed the gavel to go down to today's meeting, approving the contract, and that's going to happen hopefully in about a half hour or a few minutes. And then I've sent out notifications to the mayor, to our folks from Race World that are running this contract, and X-Insurance getting quotes. And we've got a press release set and ready to go.
Good.
Assuming you guys approve it today. So that's, we had to kind of wait, Mike, until that all came together.
No, that's a necessity.
Yeah, and our folks from Race World are really good at this stuff, and they've got the World Championships coming up, so we're gonna have some really cool stuff to announce together. Mm-hmm. But the initial press release that's coming out from us will reflect exactly what Mike asked, the economic impact numbers. Okay, so that's the important that we get that out locally. Good question.
Is there an opportunity too, I like the press conference idea, to maybe do something on one of the ALCO or WIMS or radio?
I'm all in. Pat, I just would say, we we struggle with getting the media to attend press conferences, okay? I mean,
really?
we did it. We're gonna show you a clip of one right now. We did for the invitational, but it's hard because nobody staffs those things. The newspaper doesn't staff it, the TV station, but I'll be happy to hold a press conference. But immediately we'll get out a release, okay, if that's okay. I'll get a release out right away, and I'm glad to hold a press conference. But and Brett's over there laughing, you know, Alco was there, a couple of local writers were there at the basketball press conference, but we didn't get one TV station. And elected officials are saying the same thing. You know, they call a press conference, nobody shows. It's just the way nature of the beast has changed.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I'm all in for it, you guys want to try it. So, any questions on the Surtec study? Big deal, nice report, glad to spend a couple minutes on that. I want to give you all an update on the LaPorte Invitational. Last month you approved that contract. We did do a press conference, as Mike talked about, last week, and we're going to play that for those of you, just a small piece of it for that didn't make the press conference.
Just want everybody is back from LaPorte Invitational. We had our press conference today. What a great event this is going to be. The #1 high school basketball tournament in the nation, with our hometown Mountaineer participating in 3 games. Mark Schreiber put together a class package. Let our residents know. Yeah, really excited. We have a new 3-year contract to bring the LaPorte Invitational back. Our 4th annual event will be this January 9th through 11th. We've got games each day. Mountaineer playing all 3 days. Very excited about that. Tickets go on sale Friday at LaPorteCivicAuditorium.com. We've got ESPNU broadcasting the first game of the tournament, which will feature Mountaineer. And then we've got ESPN Plus, League Ready YouTube. So we've got national TV ready to come back to us. We couldn't be more excited, and we can't do it without the Convention Visitors Bureau and John Barnett. Excited for the tournament. We couldn't be more excited. 3 years is a big deal. Really understand that what's going to happen here in the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be wrong. They won't say on 21st. I'm going to go on sale on Friday. All right? And right now, because in line, because otherwise you're going to miss the tournament. And lastly, besides the ESPN TV family, is going to be here. ESPN 1000 out of Chicago is going to be here promoting the event the whole time. The morning show folks are going to be here, and because we're more excited about that. Absolutely, and Coach Holmes, let us know how excited Mountaineer is to be part of this event, or this will be our 4th year.
Yeah, no, looking forward to year 4. We were Jalen Harrelson, one of our seniors, Notre Dame, Smith, Darius Adams, another one of our seniors here to University of Kentucky. We're excited to be here. You guys are excited to be here participating in this event. Got better, bigger, better every single year. Our guys are excited about it. Excited to play in front of the home crowd. It's pretty great days. So, with that being said, get your tickets. They're going to go on sale this Friday. That should be a packed day with pretty great days of great high school basketball.
Notre Dame, UConn commits, or we'll have all types of talent here. You see them in the NBA today, future NBAers, the best basketball around. Don't miss it. Get your tickets. Look at the contact information below so you can get great Christmas gifts, and we'll see you in early January. Good idea. Just like we come all Anthony. I know, right? So,
I like how he leaned in, like, I'm not in the camera, but I'm going to get in the camera. That was pretty
So, yeah, you guys approved that last month, and I just wanted to give you that quick update on the press conference that we had. So, moving ahead, as you know, it's on the agenda today, we're going to be talking about a new group to run our offshore race. Well, as we started that process, we worked with several groups, and it became apparent to us that the group that we worked with in the past, we have, that runs our aquacross events, was going through some rebuilding, reshuffling inside, internal stuff. So it gave us a chance to look at that, and we sat down as staff and said, this is a great opportunity to look at the return on that investment, to evaluate that, see where it's going. And the result of that was, and I'm announcing it for you now, and we're just in the process of making all that happen, we will not be going forward with the aquacross events for 25. Okay, we've notified Lake Fest, and we've notified the Michigan City Park Department. And some of the documents that are going to be floating around today may still reflect aquacross because we've been in the process of making that change. But it was a real easy change once we looked at it, once staff evaluated it. We're excited about it. Gives us opportunities to move different directions. So I wanted to make that announcement today because that'll obviously when the budget comes out next month and other things, you'll see that those things will not be line item budget work. So having said that, I'd like to move right into our updates that we normally give. Linda is out ill, so we're just gonna, because we've got folks waiting to talk about their particular documents, I'm gonna just move through this really quick. Heads and beds, Amy's out getting her accreditation, finishing that up, I hope. It's been a lifetime process, Amy, I hope you're listening. So she's had to reschedule a couple, that's a running joke, but she'll finish that up here.
Overnight success, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, so we're excited about that. And Terry is ill this morning. Brett, did you have any updates from LaPorte?
We'll just keep it real quick. This weekend, Friday, October 25th, we have a Taylor Swift tribute coming to the LaPorte Civic Auditorium. Doors open at 6, minimum tables available on the floor still. I think we have like 3 left. Balcony seats plenty. Gonna be a great show. They're coming in from Dallas. They replicate the Eras tour, and I promise you, tickets are not $1,600 each, so it's like bargain compared to the real deal. Let's see, November 2nd, the LaPorte County Symphony does their fall show at the Civic. November 16th is the 9th annual LaPorte Brew Fest. Those funds all go back to the Civic Auditorium as well there. And then November 22nd, we'll have the Jumping Jack Flash, which is one of the top Rolling Stones tributes in the country, coming to the Civic Auditorium on Friday. And a quick note as well, the Santa Parade will be November 30th, and the Downtown Cookie Walk will be Saturday, December 14th.
Good deal, Brett, thank you, appreciate
Is that all? Just a quick question related to your previous thing. So did I understand that the aquacross, we're not going to do that race this coming year?
That is correct.
Okay, so my question would be back to LaPorte. Any issues from their side?
No, we talked to them before.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah, and I'm on the Lake Fest committee too, and actually we're excited because we'll do some different programming on Stone Lake and.
Okay, I just wanted to understand it better. Thank you.
Yeah, we wouldn't go down that path, but
I assume that, yeah.
Lake Fest folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Pat, okay, one other item. I think Gail has an update from Community Relations. We may have received an award you want to share?
We did get a plaque from Chief Marty Corley, and I'll pass it around, and it was because we were a platinum sponsor for National Night Out, which is a chance for the police to engage with the community, so they can get to know who they're dealing with out in the public, and it was a very nice event held over the summer out on Franklin and 7th Street. So the community came together, there were arts and games, and the policemen were out there talking to the kids and the families, so it was a great event. He just wanted to thank us for being a sponsor.
That's great. And just for edification, that line item that we use for that is the LaPorte County line item that covers quality of life, quality of place in the county. We do a lot of sponsorships out of that, just like this, that bring in our department heads, folks we work with all the time. It's a very, a really good way for us to stay involved at the community level, at all levels. And so this isn't the only event that we sponsor. We do a lot of them that are similar to this. Thanks for the update on that. So Pat, I think with that, I'm done with that part of the report.
Okay, Blue Chip, no update?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Same as Brett. I don't really have too much to update. We just have a busy fall season and taking applications for Trees of Hope, so a lot of charity and community events that I believe Blue Chip is very much involved in. So if you needed more information, just reach out to me. You'll find a lot of the information on our website as well.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our strategic planning roadmap. And as I said earlier when we opened the meeting, very pleased about the activities that we participated in those 2 days of our board retreat. And at this point, we're going to have planning next. We got Sarah She's ready to kind of go through this with us as they had told us at that retreat that they would be presenting to us their accumulation of all the activities in a format that we can take it and then move forward with. So again, a work in progress, because we know that as we go through these things in more detail in getting to the next steps, there's going to be things that come up. So today, as she's going through this again is in progress, so we're going to let her start now. You ready, Sarah?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's nice to be back with you all, at least virtually this morning. As Pat said, we've compiled the input that we received, and again, I appreciate all the engagement we were able and discussions we were able to have during the retreat in order to sort of finalize this roadmap. Although, as Pat said, it's never really done, it's never final. We consider any kind of plan, especially one that's at a strategic level, to be a living document. And so you're going to continue to work through this roadmap. There's going to be the need to, again, create those sort of committees or task forces that focus on different pillars, different strategies, and then working with staff to get, deeper into some of these specific action steps. But a few things I'd like to share just in general that you'll see in the document. We focused a lot on, making sure the goal statement we tested that with you all, the goal statements and the strategy direction during the retreat. We had Josiah there to bring the industry perspective. And so what you'll see in this document is trying to infuse a lot of Josiah's perspective on the industry and the role of the destination management organizations, just really positioning you, I think, in this document and maybe a little bit different way than maybe in the previous strategic plan. So focusing on, that second lane of economic development idea that he brought forth, like we've put that in the plan, explained that a little bit. Also the role of the resident and sort of the role that the CBB can play and quality of place initiatives. But I think one of the things that's really important to note when you look through this is that we're still positioning the visitors, right, as your primary focus, your primary audience, but there's also that secondary now thinking about how the resident partakes in that as well, which is something that we talked about and then sort of Josiah brought, I think, forward during the retreat. So you'll see the resident mentioned quite a bit, but I think we try to position it in the way that, visitors are still your primary priority, but you'll see some of that infusion into, especially the quality of place section and throughout. I think one of the other things we tried to do when we pulled this plan together is try to really infuse it with some of the good work, quite honestly, you're already doing, but understanding things like, we have the SWOT analysis in there, understanding the economic impact of some of your events. We try to put little features throughout the plan. We tried to try to think, the blue chip casino and all the boards and commissions that the staff supports through advocacy and whatnot. We try to put some little infographics that get some of that across because it's impressive, all the things that you're doing and the impact of that. And then I think one of the other bigger changes is we did, through the conversation with you all, is we did bring all of the sort of brand and marketing strategies all under the same umbrella and the same pillar. You'll see that it's pillar 6, brand awareness and marketing. You'll see that we did designate them. There's some brand strategies and then there's the marketing strategies. We also simplified on page 22 the strategic marketing mix a little bit. Instead of listing out all the kind of current marketing partnerships, because those can change, we really tried to focus on that marketing mix and made that a little bit more high level, so it's a little more useful going forward as a framework. So I think you'll see, hopefully, you recognize the strategies that are pretty much the same. We tried to obviously take into account the input you gave us to tweak a few of them and add the few that we talked about, but we tried to infuse it with Josiah's perspective, some good stats here and there about the impact. We have towards the end the accreditation process. I know Jack mentioned Amy's working through that, but just that's a big effort that you do in order to, be accredited. And so we tried to list that out a little bit as well. And then a little bit about implementation at the end. But I think Pat's right. This is really meant to be a living document. You're going to hopefully reference it multiple times. You're going to use it. You're going to work the plan. With staff's help, we're going to get more detailed on some of these specific ones as you start to look at what you're going to prioritize for the budget and for the upcoming year. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want me to go into any more detail, but I thought it would be helpful just to kind of position, at least since last time we were together and you all saw this, what were some of the additional, kind of things that we infused into the plan. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
Sarah,
Yeah.
as we look at the pillars,
Yes.
and there's other things too, but can you just go through each one and just highlight your discussions at Planning Next about each one of those as you compile the information? Just highlight for the board, and that way, if they got some questions at that point, they can address them.
Yeah. Okay. So pillar one, quality of place, of course, that's a kind of a new pillar. We pulled that out and we presented that to you all, and I think that was well received during the retreat. I think in finalizing this one, we tried to orient, again, the quality of place importance for the visitor, but also that there's also serving the resident as well. So I think here it's really the strategies. There's 7 strategies. We really tried to distinguish between, supporting those quality of place initiatives that have that direct visitor appeal. Again, trying to put a little bit of guardrails on that for you so that you can make sure that you're staying true to your lane, I guess. There's also the Vibrant Communities of LaPorte County efforts that I think, want to be supportive of, so there's a strategy around that. There was some talk around, obviously, the signage to improve the visitor focus. And then we did add 1.7, we did add one around defining that role for the CVB around community placemaking that really is focused on the visitor, but also benefits the resident. I think generally just that framing of visitor, but also resident is really clear in this pillar as we finalized everything. And then at the bottom of the page, we did put in just a little bit from the Knight Foundation Solar Community Study that really shared and kind of codified in the study. It's an over 10-year-old study now, but I think it still holds true that the connection to the place has a lot to do with the prosperity of a place. So creating those events, creating those opportunities, creating that ambiance and that quality of place is really important, and you play an important role in that.
We left them on purpose. They're coming off.
Any questions on quality of place?
I don't have questions, comments as we go, I guess. I think it's well done. I'm wondering if we should even add in your 1.7 downtown support, downtown development for the different communities, because that ends up being the showcase for most communities. What is the quality of downtown? I know most communities have some effort on facade improvements. You've already got signage in here, but I don't know if there's a role in there for us or not. It just, in terms of when you're attracting people to an event downtown, you want the downtown to have some uniqueness to it. So I just, that's
exactly the kind of thing we would discuss going forward. As like we said, this is a work in progress. So that's and but that's a good point, because you're right. It's got to look appealing to our visitors, and it's got to have some sort of
From an industry standpoint, we've got to quantify those kind of statements by setting up guardrails before we go too far.
Right.
We're not going to build the whole downtown.
Right.
And it's not that
we're clearly limited on what we can do by statute. Okay, that's one thing. Okay. And the second part of that is that we need to follow best practice and industry standards, not just what a community necessarily prioritizes. Okay, and that has to be top priority.
We got to balance that, but each community does have its own identity. So there are some things you got to kind of weigh that in. But you're right.
Yeah, and you can look at what we're doing right now with regards to the event directors in all the communities. We're literally
Yes, yeah,
funding
yeah.
it. That's the kind of stuff that is best practice,
Right.
okay, is industry accepted, and within our budget. What we can't look at is putting sidewalks in, okay, or putting, yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happens, those requests come in. Sure.
All right, so I think that's good. I think, again, the 1.7 is meant to be broad, so that definitely downtowns can be incorporated into that. I think 1.3 though it is a downtown specific action, but it mentions only Michigan City and LaPorte. I don't know if we need to broaden it and say like in other communities, or you'll know that when you get into the detail, but it does focus on the visit focus efforts based on industry best practices. So there's a nod to that there. I think that as you work this plan, as you continue to get into the details, there's a place for that, either in 1.3 or 1.7.
A lot of communities have, like, the BID district, Business Improvement District, to help the downtowns, like LaPorte does.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Number 2.
Number 2, advocacy and community relations. So again, you're already doing a lot around this and doing it very well. So I think it's really about just continuing to improve and strengthen on those community relations, continuing your reputation as a key kind of economic development collaborator, making sure you're seen that way. Again, that goes back to some of Josiah's stories and advice. Continuing to, conduct those stakeholder communications. So a lot of this didn't necessarily change very much from what you saw. I think what we added in was just some of those, the staff boards and commissions, little infographics there to kind of, again, understand the reach you're already doing. And then there's an action up here under 2.7, which is kind of to, evaluate from time to time the return on investment for these roles in the different boards and commissions, and making sure that you're still feeling like you're getting out what you're putting into it. So again, it's just a moment to sort of stop and say, where are we really advocating? Are we getting, we're getting what we need out of it? Any questions on that?
Sure. I'm going to chime in on a couple of these for sure as we go through, if you don't mind. But I really do like the visuals in terms of, they help drive home a point. There might be another visual that could be added some places. I know I had either Jack or Linda or somebody from the Tourism Bureau comment sometimes on the value of a visitor. So, you know what, I don't know if it's $95 a visitor comes in or 150, it's some number in that range. And the reason it comes up is when you have an event or some activity and they're trying to get the broader base of support, well, if I bring in 500 new visitors to town, that has some rough economic value that I could portray early on without having to go through a deep analysis. So if we had 500 new people come to town and it's $100 a piece, what's that, $50,000 worth of value generated just from that event. I think that having those numbers routinely in our dialogue really help in terms of here's what we're helping to drive, right? So especially when you get into the millions of visitors.
And you keep it simple that way. I don't know, do you have something, hold on just a moment. Do you have something like that, Sarah, that you all can do, or from the industry?
Well, we've got the formulas Don's talking about.
Oh, okay.
That's a great elevator speech we want to use when we go out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the CERTEC annual study that we do, which by the way has been completed, we've had so much to shovel out to you. I'm holding off of that for a little bit so we can get through this meeting and the next one. But that does take what Don's talking about and puts it in perspective. But just for the record, those numbers are, obviously it changes, but for day visitors, 110, and for overnight visitors, 170. Okay.
Wow.
That's just a number you can use.
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't there, I think I remember back in Econ 101, wasn't there a multiplier effect that every dollar spent in your community turns over?
Is that $7 to 1? Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
There's also a similar thing relative to you bring in a manufacturer, somebody that pays a significant wage, that the value of the investment might be 2, 3, 5 to 1, something like that. But having these I just think, you made some really nice visuals at the bottom. I think that would be another value
To add on there.
to add onto that, and then I
Yeah.
can just flip out,
Yeah. Yeah,
And
good.
have it a high profile like that, so if the next thing comes up, I don't have to dig.
Right there. Yeah, no, that's good.
All right.
Okay, so anything else on pillar 2 before I move on? Okay, so pillar 3, signature events. Again, I think because they're unique to you and they're things that you've developed and are helping to spearhead, we've pulled this into its own section. We know that there's some changes coming, but this is kind of as of looking back through 2024. So we did have a number of strategies here about actually I see an error I'm looking at here, Jack, on page 15, 3.7 got copied over again, so we need to update that and get you a new version. That is a carryover from the other chapter for some reason. But again, promoting your signature events, measuring the reach and success of those events, the things you're already, sort of doing. I think now that you've making some changes potentially with that Aqua X, that gives you some opportunity to think differently about, events going forward. So that's, I think that's not, there's some room in this plan, I guess, to allow for that deeper conversation later. And then we pulled in the Great Lakes Grand Prix economic impact. I know that was fresh off the presses, I believe, and Jack sent us that, so we tried to pull out some of those just to show the impact of some of your signature events.
Okay.
So any questions on the signature events section?
On the events, we don't want to get too thin because you want to have some concert with.
Oh, yeah.
But there may be, and I think this would fit well with the county, is, something bigger at the fairgrounds. And I know they've already got some, but there might be one of those, in one of these buckets here.
I'm looking at 3.2 for that, where it's expanding the
There you go.
appeal.
Oh, yeah.
So that would come under that, because that's kind of what FMEC, that's kind of what we're doing. So that's going to fall under that strategy.
Yep, exactly. That's good. Okay. Pillar 4, event partnerships. Again, this is where you're in a supporting role around the youth sports, other meetings and conventions and community events that contribute to the local economy. And so again, I think you're already doing a lot of these things, but maybe ways to formalize the partnerships with organizations to support those qualified secondary events, supporting sales and servicing of those events, looking at the sport event strategy and sponsorship support. Here again, we mentioned the LaPorte County Fairgrounds, so how do you utilize and support the county fairgrounds more year-round with other events that wrap around the fair itself. The agritourism initiatives and ideas that are happening, how do you be more supportive of those? And then this is an ad from the conversation in the retreat 4.7 about the arts and culture. I think there was a lot of focus on the sports and just regular kind of meetings and conventions. And so I think there was a acknowledgement that we need to maybe call out arts and culture. So we added that explore opportunity to support and partner with arts and culture organizations again to provide support for those events. And then 4.8, I think, again, defining criteria for supporting those existing and new events, and then, again, trying to understand your guardrails. If they're run by other organizations and you're getting asks, how do you have a decision-making criteria or matrix for deciding to support those events. And then we did on this end of this page just kind of list up some of your existing infrastructure and your current sports events for reference. Any questions on the event partnerships section? Okay, heads and beds, pillar 5. We know this is really important, and this is, again, I think an area where there's some change that's happening and that you're trying to kind of get a handle on and better utilize around the third-party vacation rental. So things like creating a third-party vacation rental committee, really monitoring those rental regulations and legislation and local ordinances that could impact those and that potential funding stream. Continue to support the lodging committee, and I think, again, understanding that as the support for the third-party rental grows, you're still not forgetting about your hotels as well. They're a very important part of the ecosystem there, so continuing to advocate for the construction of new hotels and kind of continuing to foster those partnerships as well. And then we put some stats here about some of those good statistics that we learned throughout this process about LaPorte County is at the third largest number of third-party vacation rentals in the state, the lodging taxes, and how that's the main funder for the CVP. So it's the very important component of this strategic roadmap for you in order to do a lot of your other work. Any questions on heads and beds?
Yeah, we got one here.
Yeah, 5.11,
Yep.
advocate for the construction of new hotels. Is there some type of a handout? We get asked a lot about building hotels in the county. Is there a handout that we can include in our packets that we give?
This one's a real challenge, Mike. Real challenge. The first thing developers ask when they come in, they want to see some data on occupancy rates, average daily rates, and as you all know, we don't have that data available, okay, because of the situation with Boyd Gaming not reporting that. And our data is not even close to being able to report. We collect what we can from the hotels to use, but it's not at a level that you can give to a developer and expect them to make decisions on spending money here on just what we're pulling in that way.
But even if we gave them a list of all the events that have
we give them everything they want. We give them the economic capacity. But as you know, and Don, you've done it, the first thing they want to see is, in this subject, is occupancy rate. Okay, the next thing is average daily rate. And then there's 2 or 3 more that follow. And we, unfortunately, we're just...
I know eventually we're going to get more detail on this, but Mike, I think you bring up a good point, and Jack, you and I have been in discussion about this any number of times. There might be an opportunity for us to actually hire somebody to create a report on an annual basis that has some significant credibility to it. I don't know, I mean, you hire somebody to evaluate the value of the Grand Prix. We can also hire an independent organization to do just this, to give it credibility rather than us trying to fumble around with it with our board or with the staff or calling all over the place. There may be a way to structure this that you could have the statistics and they're credible enough that a developer could take it to a bank and say, based on this study, this is what's going on in this market. And I don't know if that's $10,000, $100,000, I don't know what the spend is to do that, but having that is, because people do it all the time. It's very similarly, I've seen it for, they want a more granular review of what is local pay rates in different industries. So they hire somebody independent to go out and they survey every industry and they get a much better number than the broad statistic. So
yeah, and like for example, we got a wage and hour survey from Northern Indiana that we hand out to prospective.
It's done by somebody that's independent, that's more credible.
Well, they're already in place now. Just so you know, there's 2 or 3 very reputable groups that provide that right now. No problem at all. It's not the money. The problem is the information we're feeding them is missing a quarter of our room base.
I understand.
So we could, if we decide we want to go to Star, for example, that's very recognized. There is a little bit of cost there, not a lot. And get their report. I actually get it from my friends in South Bend every month, but it's so far off, I'm not comfortable with sharing it with a developer.
Well, like right now, Jack, we don't give them anything.
Well,
our economic development, we don't give them.
It's not the case.
Okay, let's hold this conversation, because this is one of those conversations that we have to have in the process of doing this together. But that's all good information. It's all good information, and I think we need to pursue this. So we're gonna talk about pursuing that conversation. Okay?
Yeah, that's a good example of how you take this 511 and you actually then
work on it.
Yeah, you start getting action steps under there. And one of them, as a one way to advocate, might be to pull some data and some studies together, whether you already have it or you need to hire someone and maybe there's a way to, you'll have to think about how to obviously wage that gap. But yeah, that's another, you can deep dive into that one as you start to prioritize the action steps. Okay.
All right.
Okay, pillar 6, brand awareness and marketing. Again, this is the one where we, I can't remember now, where we had it separated in the original, first there was some logic to that, but when we were reviewing it with you all in the retreat, we decided to bring it all under the same umbrella, which makes a lot of sense. So we brought the brand strategies, which is really centered on an effort to, bring your brand up to sort of current industry standards, modernize it a little bit, and so some rebrand work might happen first, which would then set up, increasing that brand awareness and engagement and continue your community brand development. And then we've got your marketing strategies. Again, you're already doing a lot in this realm, so a lot of it is, continuing to expand those reach, implement, and continue to identify those target markets. So I think a lot of this, none of this really changed other than just bringing this all together under one umbrella.
Okay.
Any questions on the marketing and brand awareness? Okay. Pillar 7, the NITDC management contract. Again, this is a new thing that's coming under your umbrella, and so it was decided to kind of keep it its own pillar for this next kind of 5-year planning horizon. So these are really specific to pulling in, telling that collective story of the assets on the toll road, really thinking about that, expanding that marketing capabilities for the toll road beyond just the billboard and kind of plaza campaigns, monitoring, evolving the Cool North regional promotional programming, and just really focusing on those 3 pillars that are now, the NITDC pillars that are now part of the CVB. And so we've listed those down there just for quick reference, really focusing on the toll road, the marketing, and the advocacy. So this is, again, this is something you're working on right now, and you're merging these in, and you're wanting to take leverage and sort of take the most advantage you can of that new contract position. Any questions on NITDC? Okay, and then the final pillar is really the finance and administration, just getting everything, the operation side of it, that the staff's really, day-to-day trying to do in a very, I think, transparent and inclusive way. But I think one of the things, I think 8.7 is really to look, as you're doing your budget, to really align it with a strategic roadmap to optimize those outcomes. So trying to get those budget buckets to kind of line up with your pillars, understanding the job descriptions and roles with the internal staff, with the sort of reorganizing and retitling. And so I think this is all in spirit of just the running of the good organization that you've been doing. And then we do have that little, at the end of page 27, that little accreditation box there. We thought that was good to highlight because you do take the time to be accredited, and that's, every 4 years you're required to do that, and you're taking the steps to do that with industry standards. So any questions on the finance? This is the last pillar.
Well, thank you for going through that, Sarah. I just thought it was a good idea for, after those 2 days of putting in the work, to hear the summation and not just read it. So
yeah,
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I think it's a really nice summary. The plan is quite comprehensive, and certainly there's obviously a lot of work in this thing.
Exactly.
But I really do think it does present a very high quality, high level presentation about what we're about.
Yes.
So well done.
Yeah.
Sarah, you and your team did a great job, and Jack, and
thank you.
Of course, Pat and everybody else. It's really, I'm impressed. It's nice.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was definitely a team effort. Everybody chimed in and contributed, and we built something really good that I think will be able to lead you for the next 5 years. Like you said, there's a lot of good work to be done in this plan.
I also like the efficiency in terms of our strategic planning meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Your direct input with the technology and everything, and actually getting the vast majority, if not all, of the input that was solicited.
Then,
Offered, because that is what gets to be a frustration if you get involved in some of these things. And then, geez, so I spent 20 minutes making a point and didn't even make a line.
Right. I know, yeah.
that is a good point, because you do put your time in, you do want to at least see it.
Yeah, you want to see where it went, so, no, that's good. Yeah, well, just going through it right now on our version, Jack, I found a few little typo things, so we will clean that up. There's just a few little things in there, and we'll get you kind of like a final version. I also mentioned to Jack that we will take all of the strategies and we'll put them into what we call an implementation matrix, which is just an Excel tool that staff can use.
Yeah.
But it has some columns about, help you keep track of status of things. You can add prioritization. You can add funding potentials. You can add partners, things like that. So it's a good way to take this document, which is really a moment in time, but to make it the living document version where you're kind of working it and you can edit it easily and kind of keep track of where you are. So we'll deliver that.
You read my mind, Sarah.
That's excellent.
You read my mind, because I was thinking the same thing. And but about when would you think you will have that ready?
Oh, we can have it done by end of this week. Josie's got it started.
For November.
Okay.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, do you need anything else from me or can I drop off?
Why would you want to leave us already?
I don't want to. I just have a 10:30 that I need to get to, but.
Okay. Yeah, you're fine.
We're done. Let her go.
Yeah, we're done. We're done, Sarah. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate seeing you all, and we'll get everything buttoned up here and off to you, Jack, by end of the week.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Yep, bye-bye. Nice to see you all.
Okay. So now, at this time, I'll ask for the advisory board, advisory committee, to give us their feedback and recommendations for our strategic planning document.
Yeah, I think for the most part, on behalf of, this place my agenda with all my notes here, but it was asked upon us to review the contract with Race Road, right, for the offshore?
That's
the next item. We're talking about.
Okay,
This is the planning next.
planning next.
Yes.
Stay focused.
The retreat. The retreat.
We have so much to do. Yes, that was the first one, and I mean, again, we're all in agreement with the planning next documents and the confirmation that we had. There really wasn't any comments. It was self-explanatory. We all enjoyed it. So moving forward with the roadmap, we're in agreement, right? So, sorry, we spent more discussion on this one was a no-brainer.
Yeah, right. I hear you. Okay.
We're doing something else.
I know, right? I like it.
I did too.
Okay, so with that, then, we're gonna ask for a motion from the board to approve the strategic planning document as presented by Planning Next as a living document or work in progress at this time. Second. We have a motion by Don Babcock, a second by Stacy Benning to accept the motion. Any other discussions on the document or the comments or the presentation? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on your agenda is where Angie was. She's over there moving ahead on us. But this is going to be handled by Jack. But I just want to say something before this presentation or before this discussion. This offshore or our racing event, it's critical that we have a partner that we're working with that's going to continue at the level that where we are and move us forward. So Jack has been very diligent in his discussions and meetings with these various different organizations that run this race, and I commend him and his team that works with him on keeping us informed of the changes and the dynamics that are going on within this event. So I just want to encourage you to, support Jack and what he's doing, because he does put a lot of time and a lot of effort into this, and he is the expert on this event. So with that, Jack?
Well, first of all, to my friends, or used to be friends, Larry and Roderick, they may have bailed out after having to sit through a presentation that was probably not something they were expecting this morning. But first of all, guys, there's no charge for that, okay? That's free, that comes free. And
we enjoyed the show.
Yeah, and now you consider yourselves experts in our industry, I think, after you absorbed all that. So what I'd like to do for the board is I'm going to read a narrative into the record, and then Chelsea's going to show you a discuss race week for a minute, and then we're going to let our friends talk because they waited patiently for a couple hours.
And I'm going to apologize to you gentlemen for that, but that, as you heard, that strategic plan it outlines and lays everything in place for you guys to be able to come to us and present your side of the Visitors Bureau.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. You know, it was a pleasure really not to even hear Jack talk that much. So anybody else?
Yeah, I knew they were going to get even with me. It's going to be a long process of getting even for a second. But just think you're better for it. I know you are. So, having said that, I'm going to put this narrative into the record, and then Chelsea's going to say something, and then we'll let our friends talk, and you guys can make your decision. So, at the conclusion of last year, we got a place that we felt like we needed to go a different direction. We needed to be part of the APBA series, which is our national sanctioning group. We had not done that, as you know, and we made the tough decision to change operators. And those things are not easy. We've done this a couple times over the course of years, and it's not easy. We immediately, after making the decision, and this was Scott and I, basically, Chelsea helped us with a lot of this, we got a hold of APBA and we got put on the circuit. We got on their calendar. That was the first step. And then we solicited several groups that we talked to that presented us with contracts. And RWO is one of them. In the contract that's before you, line number 32 in the contract, they have guaranteed us a spot on that national circuit that I just referred to. That's going to be the headliner for our press release. That's a big deal when you're talking only, and Roderick and Larry can maybe shed some light on this when they speak, but only 4, 5, or 6 sites around the United States that qualify for these points. That's a big deal for Michigan City, Indiana. Okay, that puts us on the map with Key West and all the Florida race sites that are down there. It's a huge deal for us. The contract itself is in line with last year's. In fact, most of the language, RWO, they looked at Laura's template that she had written last year with OPA. They adopted it almost word for word. The money's the same. Laura has reviewed the contract as normal, and I'll let her speak to that. And would you mind now speaking to that, Laura? On the contract itself, as far as does it meet our requirements legally?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It is very clean. It's very easy to follow, which I always like.
Yeah.
Always advocate for that. As Jack said, the cost is broken down in subsection 5, and what we really thought was compelling was section 32 about the National Series events. So everything has been adequately covered to my knowledge.
Scott, comments?
No, I'm excited to work with RWO. I looked through the contract as well, and it doesn't get, I'm a few credits shy of being a lawyer myself, so it's pretty cut and dry. It's self-explanatory.
There's a whole lot of people like that out there. Right? That's good. So, obviously, Scott and I and my team has recommended approval of the contract. It is a 5-year contract, but as you all know, our funding is annual, so we have to have that clause in there that allows for us to opt in or out on an annual basis. So, having said that, we talked about our RWO. They run the World Championships coming up in Key West in a couple weeks, which is the event in offshore racing. And they've got a lot of experience. I've had a chance to work with Roderick when he was with SBI. And Larry was there also during part of that time. So I do know Larry is the principal owner and Roderick is the race director. So guys, you want to say a few words maybe about the partnership and what do you see moving forward?
Yeah.
Well, I'll do a little bit of talking and then I'll let Roderick do what he does best, is talking. So I'm Larry Blyle, I'm the owner of Race World Offshore. I've been racing my whole life between motorcycles and cars and into boats, and started out with the Key West event with SBI. At that time, I wanted to start, John was getting up in age and offered to buy SBI back then, and he wouldn't sell it, so we ended up starting RWO and started out with getting the World Championships in Key West, which we've done very successfully. I wanted to make it bigger and stronger and change it up to more friendly for fans, for the children, or we do a lot with kids, and we bring the school buses from the schools up and down the Keys to the races, and then on the Wednesday race, we give them food and take them and go around to all the race teams and meet everybody. I feel that it's a sport that's very user-friendly, and we like to make it really kid-friendly, and we're big into that. We put on, I believe, the most professional races in the world. We've got teams from Australia that hasn't raced in the U.S. this year that are coming. They raced with us last year in Key West and said they had the most fun and the best racing that they've had any place in the world. And that's our goal. We're very professional. You'll notice that all of our race teams, our staff are in uniforms. We wear such as this and shorts that we do everywhere, so everybody knows who's affiliated with the races. And we're just really excited to come to Michigan City. It's been a favorite for race teams. Everybody has talked to us about it for years, and how the street party that you have is one of the best. And so I just want to thank you all. You know, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll let Roderick, he can carry on from there.
Thanks, Larry. Jack, thank you for the introduction there. I believe I was involved in your inaugural event, many 15 plus years ago, so I'm very familiar with the event. And as Larry said, excited to see the way that street party grew from a very small first-year event to probably one of the marquee events, in offshore racing for street parties and block parties. First, I want to apologize for all of the background noise. It's this moment that all the mowers, all the people cutting grass, and all the construction in my office is happening at this very split second. So hopefully you can hear me all. Sorry about that. I will say that I have had the pleasure to work with Jack for many, many years prior. I'll say a majority. Let me see if I can stop that. I would say a majority of our staff, of the 40 plus people, have been around offshore racing for a long time. Many of us were with Superboat, and sort of where we started our inaugural event with you guys. And so our team has decades of experience in offshore powerboat racing, from organization to execution to safety to fulfillment to sponsor fulfillment to producer support for people like yourselves. So the couple things that Larry mentioned was that your event, while we're extremely selfish about Key West, we will always say Key West is the #1 marquee event in the world. Your event, from the racer standpoint, is definitely almost equal to that of Key West. They speak very highly of your event. I too speak very highly because it's a very good property that's laid out for the ability to run an offshore powerboat race from the dry pit area, the convenience within property to the crane area, the convenience to go to the beach and watch the race, score the race, ability to see all of our safety crews and all that. We definitely have the best location for offshore racing or lake racing. No matter what, it's it's definitely a fan favorite. So, from that standpoint, we're happy to be involved as the new organization, Race World. Larry and I started it 6 years ago as an offshoot of Superboat. And as he mentioned, we went and put our RFP to the World Championships, and Larry's relationship with all the people in City Council in Key West and the different mayors that have passed through definitely give us a good stronghold to have the ability to put on a good race. As Jack and all of you know, it's not easy to put a race on. There's a lot of people involved. And so it takes a lot of community support. It takes a lot of volunteers. It takes a lot of council support. Your TDC or your economic impact numbers are great. And I believe, the question or the statement that was posed about 15 minutes ago was to go with someone that could continue that legacy. So I definitely feel that Race World can do that with you guys.
Great, Robert, thanks. So just, he triggered a couple thoughts, and that is Scott's relationship with the park department has been excellent. The support we get from the park department when Roderick was talking about the layout is huge. The city's support with police, fire, and everything, we couldn't happen without that. We're lucky to have a facility like Washington Park to be able to showcase in our community, and it just fits perfect perfect. The footprint for offshore racing. When you look at the distance, the cranes from the dry pits to the wet pits, it's no other race has the luxury of having anything like Washington Park. And Will, any comments from the park department side?
Just from the park department standpoint, it's awesome to see the beach get that full every year, and us be able to stretch our capacity. Guys stretch the capacity to pretty much as many people as we can get in there. It's just it's a good problem to have to figure out how we can get even more people there in the future. I'd love to go there.
Yeah, so before I turn it back to Pat to call for the vote, I got two things. One, we're going to challenge our friends Larry and Roderick so we're expecting 75 race teams? Is that what we're looking at?
90.
90, okay, there you go. 90 race teams.
I always think big on numbers. we love
Well, I could say many votes are shared within different organizations. It's an APBA event, and we're definitely going to have the best turnout possible.
Great. That was actually exactly why we had the discussion. And then lastly, Chelsea's done a lot of work on trying to help put together a way to capture those numbers I mentioned earlier that came up in the CERTEC report. And so we're already planning next week's race week. And so here's a little premature schedule for race week. We're trying to mimic what they do in Key West. We can't get in the water for a 7-day period, but we can do some things up in Washington Park. So Chelsea, you want to give us a rundown of race week?
Yeah, so we're looking at adding some additional activities in order to expand our race week to an actual full race week. Some of our staff may not even know about some of this stuff. It's so new. So it's definitely not got a lot of detail behind it, but just kind of some ideas that we've had, just talking on the phone basically. So Monday, we really want to throw a community partner appreciation kickoff event. This is going to be honoring our police, our fire, our EMA, EMT, park department, all of our community partners that really kind of help throw this together for us, that work really, really hard throughout the week. Just showing our appreciation for them. Tuesday, we are looking at hosting a Logan's party. I don't know if everybody is aware, there is a boy that is affiliated with the race teams, Logan's Heroes. He does have Down syndrome, but he is a big name in the OPA group and the race team, and everybody just kind of loves him. So we thought maybe throw him a little party on Tuesday, and maybe doing a community give back night, partnering with a local restaurant and giving to maybe a couple of nonprofit organizations. And then we go into our regular Wednesday, our golf outing and our golf outing awards and after party, which will probably be held at Phi Delta Kappa again. We go into Thursday, which is the VIP event at Sunset Grill, where we invite the race teams and their families as well. Friday, we do host a private welcome race team reception at Blue Chip. Because that is not open to the public, we are looking at adding something for the public on Friday to kind of boost our numbers for Friday and maybe bring people in an extra day early. So right now we are in talks with a brew fest, possibly. Hopefully finding somebody to be able to host that for us. Saturday, the VIP events down at the tent, and Sunday, along with we provide breakfast for the racer meetings. And then, of course, our block party and boat parade. We're always trying to add more to it, so we're hoping to put a few more dollars towards it this year again. Sunday, and then, of course, we do the VIP tent Sunday, but then also the formal award ceremony also at Blue Chip Casino. So that's kind of a quick layout of what we're thinking and hopefully where we're heading.
Thank you very much. So with that, Larry or Roderick, has there been any updates on Chicago? The Chicago offshore site?
Go ahead, Larry, you want me to go?
Rob's working on that. I would say we're right within the next 30 days of making an announcement on that one. So it's a lot more difficult. There's a lot more hoops to go through and all that in the Chicago area, but we're muddling through it. So I think it should be within the next 30 days.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So what we're talking about is Race World has been working on trying to get an event in Chicago. We've been working with them. They're looking to do that on Labor Day. So our race would be in August. That race would be at Labor Day. We'd be able to cross-promote both events. We're going to be doing spending a lot of marketing dollars in Chicago this year. It's going to be on our agenda next month. We're going to open that up. This is a perfect avenue for us to tie that Chicago market in and bring more visitors in. So hopefully that works out for them. So with that, I'm ready to get this thing moving.
So if anyone has any comments or anything at this time, we'll ask for a motion to approve the contract with RWO, Race World Offshore, and as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Who's up, Don?
Don.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mike Seitz and a second by Don Babcock to accept the contract with the approval of our legal team that has reviewed it. Any further discussion?
I like the idea that we're locking in the future dates. That's critical for us to have a sustainable effort here to carry on with credibility into the future. Because as we all know, this event is so big, it can't be done or you don't want to do it on an annual ad hoc basis.
Exactly.
I mean, we've got momentum, and I think this contract, they've earned their reputation, which is very positive for Race World Offshore, and I commend Jack and the whole team for putting this together. One of the things I found interesting in the agreement, so this would be, at some point, I'm sure we'll get on the radio and so this, but the idea that we have to provide a swimming pool for the safety of the drivers, if they, have some accident or something, and I just thought that was very unique that we are actually responsible for having a pool for them to prove the safety of it.
It just speaks it speaks to the logistics involved in putting this on. So that's what, like Jack said, that's a training
tool.
Work
with them, and we get a high school.
Yeah, there's a community out
there.
there.
They actually bring in divers that do the extracting that are trained in that, and they actually train our local volunteers. That's what that is. That's gonna help them so they can tie in.
I think
It's pretty cool.
Lifeguarding, all kinds of stuff here.
Oh,
yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's probably going to be labeled as Jack's private pool party in the future. So when you all were talking about a week long of activities and events, that might hit the schedule.
So as we look at that, as the board, we'll know what that really means. Thank you for that clarification.
This is gonna be the gift that keeps on giving for the fact that they got to sit through this whole meeting. I'm gonna endure this for a year.
Well, thank you, Larry and Roderick, for staying with us for this whole time, so we appreciate your patience.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure.
So with that, we still have the motion in the second, and we've had are there any other comments? I hope you guys are energetic about this, because this is huge. This is really huge. RWO is going to take us to another level. I truly believe that. So with that, I'll call for the vote. Is there somebody else that wants to comment? Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And
we need a quote from you guys. Roderick, please.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, I'll write it and send it.
Thank you.
We appreciate all you very much. Look forward to meeting all of you this coming August.
Yeah, an updated logo, JPEG, please, also.
Anybody in marketing on your team or can go to raceworldoffshore.com/marketing and find all of our assets. And after the Key West Worlds, we will get a tab up for Michigan City, but all of our logos are there presently.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, we'll send you a quote. Thank you all again very much.
Thank you all very much.
Look forward to the opportunity.
Thank you.
all right, good job, everybody.
Yeah, that's exciting.
William did make a comment about the boat race, but I didn't know if the advisory committee had any other comments that they wanted to make about it.
No, I already spoke up and said we supported it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We got that twice.
Yeah, we got it. Okay, good. All right. And we have one last item on our agenda today, and to approve our salary ranges, and we do this periodically as we try to stay in line with what's going on in the industry to match our skills and talents of our team here at the Bureau, our staff, with industry. And Jack has been very diligent in doing that for us, and he presented you all with those salary ranges. And I would ask for this at this time.
Can I read the narrative, go with it?
Oh, yes, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Just a real short narrative. Actually, it's up on the screen. Pretty straightforward. We do this every couple of years. There were not a lot of changes in the salary ranges. Actually, the only real changes was adding the 3 NIPC staff. Is really all there was. So pretty straightforward, nothing much there. And I think in the document that I sent out, I gave you the last year's 23s, but the last one we worked under, and then the new one, so you could see where the changes were. Well, any questions after that?
Okay, so with that, I will ask for a motion to approve the salary range proposal presented by the CEO.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mike Sykes and a second by Martha King. Any discussion on the salary ranges?
I'll just chime in. I'm very pleased to see this, and I'm very comfortable with the numbers that I saw in the ranges. They seem to be competitive and fair, and it still comes down to the administration and making sure that we're getting the value out of every employee. And I think we are, and I think the success of today relative to our strategic plan activities and the new long-term or 5-year agreement with the RWO speaks highly of what we're doing here. And so I think we have a great value in our staff, and they're very professional, and we have, I love the financial reporting and the transparency. So I'm very supportive of these ranges, and I think that if we have high expectations of our employees, we have to compensate them appropriately.
Exactly. Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything to that? And I'm just going to echo what Don has said also, because I've had the opportunity, along with a couple of us long-timers here, to work with the staff over a period of time. And I can definitely say, from where we started to where we are now, it's just like a night and day difference. These folks work extremely hard, and especially during our events. I mean, some of the hours they put in are ridiculous. and I just commend them for their commitment to what they do. And they have a passion, and I love the enthusiasm that I get from them when I interact with them, which I try not to interfere with Jack's stuff, but I do like to interact with the staff. And I encourage you all to do that, on a, light basis, so to speak, but excellent staff. Excellent. Anyone else? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll just ask now if any board members have any general comments that they need to make at this time.
I'm speaking up a lot today, but Purdue Northwest, we have our haunted trails this coming Friday, as well as the fireworks, which got postponed from the Pumpkin Fest because of the burn ban. So we have the burn ban still in place. However, we have the support of our local fire chief in Westville, and so the fire department will be on hand for the fireworks this Friday evening. There will be food trucks and the haunted trails afterwards. And it's all free to the public. I mean, obviously the food at the food trucks, you pay for your own food.
Yeah.
But it should be a good evening this coming Friday.
Oh, it's a Friday through Sunday, or is it just Friday?
This is just Friday.
Just Friday.
It's fireworks first, and they'll go off at about dusk, but they get there about 6:30, something like that, maybe 7. We'll have a bouncy ball. Not bouncy. What's the bouncy?
Bouncy house.
Bouncy house, whatever it is. I mean, I haven't been in one for years, but but the kids will be there, so there'll be some good things to do. And obviously, we would love to have more people enjoy our beautiful campus at Purdue Northwest. So
it is beautiful.
So fireworks yet for this year. So
I don't know if Mike's feet can touch on the grounds of Purdue.
Of course he can. He's an IU guy. It's okay. But
that's what we're saying.
All right.
They won't singe. So anybody else? Okay, thank you for that. Well, our next meeting will be on November 26th. So until then, we'll see you. Have a good month and have a great day. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Great meeting. Appreciate it. A lot of good stuff. Did you sign this?